what's up everyone? This is Kyle Jones. I am the founder of Future Compounds. We are known for making the purest, cleanest CBN isolate in the industry, and today I'm going to go ahead and talk about a couple topics that are really important to identifying good versus bad, clean versus pure CBN isolate. So sometimes when you get CBN, you'll notice that there are different colors of CBN. Normally you'll see either like a pink or slight purple CBN, a yellow or tan CBN, and then a white CBN. What do all these mean? Well, the color is actually a very good indicator as to if the product is fully pure or not. Most manufacturers can make a highly potent isolate, meaning 99%, but that doesn't mean it's pure or clean. Those impurities usually consist of things like iodine and sulfur, things that you don't really want to be consuming. The pinks and purples, those are actually small little iodine molecules that have been captured or entrained into the crystal. And the yellows and tans, those are sulfur or sulfide molecules entrained into the crystal as well. So now that you know that these colors are impurities, I'm going to explain how it actually happened. During the manufacturing process, we do a process called isolation. During isolation, we start with a liquid solution. If there are any impurities, as the isolate or the crystalline structure starts to form and solidify, it entraps or captures any of those impurities throughout those tiny small crystals that are formed during the entire isolation process. So for any of these manufacturers that have these iodines, iodides, sulfur, sulfates in their solution, they're going to end up with a product that has impurities entrained and trapped into that isolate. And that's where all of those pink and yellow and tan hues really come from. They're just small trace amounts of impurities trapped in pretty much every little crystal throughout the isolate. But the problem is most full panel testing assays do not test for these impurities like iodine, iodide, and all these other subcompounds of iodine or subcompounds of sulfurs. So you get a product that has a full panel, but not tested for the right thing. So if anybody is trying to sell you pink, purple, yellow, or tan CBN, just know that there are impurities. It may be potent, it may be 99%, but it is not pure. That 1%, that 0.5%, so small, but those are impurities, and that's where that color really comes from. So now that you know that, well, how do we get our CBN isolate to be completely pure and completely white? I'm gonna explain that. Most manufacturing facilities only go through the steps of essential isolation, which is really just crashing and dissolving to try and remove impurities through that process and standard filtration. But as you can see, if you've ever seen pink, purple, or tan, or yellow CBN, that's clearly not enough processing to create an absolute pure compound. So what do we do that's different than other manufacturers? We do a very standard general technique that is used all throughout the world, and it's called chromatography. All chromatography is a massive column that uses different medias, clays, all kinds of filtration medias that are very specific in polarity to capture any impurities that are within the solution. So before we isolate, we've already removed all the impurities that we want to. And to really simplify this, chromatography is used in almost every manufacturing process from a global perspective. CBD is kind of just behind in the sense of manufacturing. Chromatography is one of the most common chemistry techniques out of all refinement. So think about every bottle of water that you've ever had a drink of has gone through reverse osmosis. That is a form of chromatography. It's a filtering media with different polarities that catch different things. That's really all chromatography is. So think about every cooking oil you've ever used, every water-based product you've ever used, every oil-based product you've ever used, probably every lotion you've ever used. Pretty much almost everything goes through chromatography, which is just extensive filtration based on the polarity of the item that you're trying to filter. Very common technique. So for us being in the industry for 10 years and building labs all over the world, we just know that to make a really pure final compound, we always need to add chromatography. So using chromatography really allows us to remove any possible impurity that could ever be in our product. Now, we don't use those iodines and sulfurs in our process, so we don't have those impurities in the first place. I unfortunately think that a lot of companies don't use chromatography for really two reasons. Number one, they don't know that a pink or a yellow CBN actually has impurities in it. So why are they going to add a cost to their manufacturing if the consumer doesn't know any different? And the majority of the time, these CBN isolates are going into a consumable product like an edible. So you don't really see the isolate when you're eating a cookie or smoking a vape. These manufacturers kind of knowing consumers don't have this information, so they're not going to increase the cost of their manufacturing. And for us, that kind of goes against our moral code. Actually, not kind of, it definitely goes against our moral code. We're all about making sure that things are completely pure. We make these compounds for ourselves to consume, to give to our family members. So when we make a product or an isolate or go through a manufacturing process, it's because we intend to use it, not just to sell for a financial gain. So next time someone tries to sell you a pink, a purple, a yellow, a tan CBN, ask them, do they do chromatography or do they just do simple filtration and isolation? And if they don't even know how to answer that question, well, there's your answer right there. And that's why you should always just come to Future Compounds. You know you're in safe hands and you know that we care about our final product. Now that you have all this information, you can make a truly educated decision on when, where, and how you buy your CBN. Do you trust that manufacturer? Can they answer the questions that you're asking them? And do you feel good about the product that you're about to put into your body? Because that's pretty important in my mind. So long story short, if there is any coloration within the CBN, especially pinks, purples, and yellows, those are not natural. Those are impurities. X them out of your option, don't even get them. Another topic's been brought up too where people have said that they think people are bleaching their isolate. I actually have never really seen that, and again, those impurities are trapped inside of that isolate. So bleaching it may work on the outside of that little crystal, but that will wear off. A test that you could probably do is dissolve it in a little bit of rubbing alcohol at your house, and if it's not white anymore and that color comes through, well then you know that's been adulterated from an exterior chemical, not an interior entrapment. But yeah, we're gonna get really nerdy if we start talking about all that kind of stuff. And we're gonna have a bunch of cool new videos coming out, so keep an eye out for us. I'm Kyle from Future Compounds. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you learned something and this helps you make a better decision when you go in the future to buy some CBN. And hey, check out our CBN because I think it's the best out there. It's definitely the most pure, and we can prove it. Peace.